2023 Honda HR-V versus the Toyota Corolla Cross. Which is the better small crossover SUV to buy? That's what we're going to find out. Welcome to Call Up Corner, where we help you, the consumer, master the process of car buying and car ownership. In this video, I'm going to compare the redesigned 2023 Honda HR-V against the Toyota Corolla Cross to find out which is the better small crossover SUV in terms of their design, performance, reliability, and value for money. So to find out which small crossover SUV is best, make sure to stick around until the end of this video. And if you enjoy and get value out of this video, make sure to subscribe to my channel. I post 2 videos a week, always straight to the point, valuable car buying advice designed to help you, the consumer. So let's start things off behind the wheel of the HR-V. Now, unlike the previous generation HR-V, which was based off of the Honda Fit platform, the new HR-V is now based off of the Honda Civic, which does make it a lot larger than before. Compared to the old version, the new HR-V has grown by over 9 inches in length, which not only makes it a lot sleeker looking, but also makes it one of the largest crossovers in the segment. It's around 4 inches longer than the Toyota Corolla Cross and roughly the same size as the Mazda CX-5. Compared to most of the other subcompact crossovers in the segment like the Mazda CX-30, the Subaru Crosstrek, the Kia Seltos, and the Hyundai Kona, the HR-V just looks and feels like a much larger and more spacious SUV. It just has a lot more interior volume and a lot more rear seat space and cargo space, which makes it a much more practical choice than most others. Having said that though, even though you do get more interior space than the previous generation model, you no longer get that famous magic rear seat where you can fold the rear seats up for more cargo space, which was a really nice feature to have. Having said that though, the rest of the interior is a major step up in terms of its design and build quality. Sharing the same interior design with both the Honda Civic and the new Honda CR-V, the interior has a very high quality feel with excellent materials and fit and finish. And there's also lots of great tech too, including a fully digital gauge cluster and a really good infotainment system. Lower trims come with a 7-inch touchscreen with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which is smaller than the one on the Corolla Cross. But if you go for the higher trim, you get a larger 9-inch touchscreen with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. And much like the Corolla Cross, the HR-V is also top-notch when it comes to safety technology, with a full suite of active safety tech as part of Honda Sensing. It's all just very well designed and a great place to spend time. It's also a really nice SUV to drive on the road too. North American HR-Vs come standard with a 2-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder engine that produces 158 horsepower and 138 pound-feet of torque. It comes matched to a continuously variable automatic transmission with either front wheel or all-wheel drive. Now, while it obviously doesn't have a lot of power, it does feel adequate in the real world. And because it's a very smooth and quiet engine, even more so than the one in the Corolla Cross, you really don't notice it while driving. Fuel economy, however, is about average for the class. The HR-V is able to achieve around 26 to 30 miles per gallon, or roughly 8 to 9 liters per 100 kilometers. Now, while the fuel economy isn't exactly class leading, I'm more than happy to trade a little bit of efficiency for a less complicated engine design, which is exactly what you get with the HR-V. The 2-liter engine is one of the few left on the market that not only doesn't use complicated turbocharging, but it also doesn't use direct fuel injection or even an engine start-stop system either, which is the way I prefer it, and I'm sure the way a lot of buyers prefer it too. The simple engine design is just a lot better for longevity and maintaining low repair costs, which is something that Hondas have traditionally been very good at. But even though the Toyota is also known for its amazing reliability and resale value, one advantage that you do get with the HR-V is an excellent driving feel. It just has an excellent balance between both comfort and handling, far more so than the Corolla Cross. And the more sophisticated and overall better feel of the HR-V can really be felt on the road. You can really tell that Honda put a lot of effort into this redesign, and it's easily a lot better than most of its rivals. But the question is it a better crossover than the Corolla Cross? Well, it's time to get behind the wheel and find out. Alright, behind the wheel of the Toyota Corolla Cross. Now, I've already spent a lot of time talking about this SUV in a lot of my previous videos, so I'm going to try and focus on the major differences, the pros and cons of it versus the HR-V. Now, the first thing many are probably wondering is how exactly do these two crossovers compare in terms of size and space? Now, as already mentioned with the HR-V is a little bit larger, it has bigger dimensions and more interior volume, and you can definitely feel that in terms of the interior space. That being said though, even though the Corolla Cross does have a little bit less interior space and less rear seat legroom, it has more or less the same amount of cargo room as the HR-V. In fact, it has around 1 cubic foot more, and you can also fold the back seats perfectly flat just like the HR-V, so both are more or less the same when it comes to practicality. Now, much like the HR-V, the interior of the Corolla Cross is very well designed. Everything is well laid out with straightforward functional controls, but it just doesn't feel quite as premium as the interior of the HR-V. The materials are just not quite as nice, and it just feels a little bit more basic, even though the build quality is still very good. And the infotainment system also feels quite dated when compared to the one that you get in the HR-V. Now, it is worth mentioning that the Corolla Cross is going to have a brand new infotainment system for 2023 with the latest Toyota multimedia interface that is going to have wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. That being said though, even though the interior of the HR-V does feel more premium and upscale than the Corolla Cross, you're not really missing out on anything when it comes to features and technology. You can get all the exact same features in the Corolla Cross, including the same active safety technology, most of which comes standard on every trim level. And when it comes to the way they drive on the road, the Corolla Cross is just as comfortable and easy to drive as the HR-V. Now, compared to the HR-V, I have to admit that the Corolla Cross does feel rather ordinary to drive. It's nowhere near as sharp in terms of the handling, and it just doesn't feel quite as solid on the road either. But at the end of the day, neither one of these SUVs is really going to be bought for its performance or its handling. They're really bought for comfort and ease of use. And in that respect, they are both equally good. Now, in terms of performance, the Corolla Cross does seem a little bit better on paper. The 2-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder engine produces 169 horsepower and 151 pound-feet of torque, which is more than you get than the HR-V. But don't let those numbers fool you, because in the real world, neither one of these is a quick SUV. You plant your foot down in the Corolla Cross and you get quite a bit of noise, but not a whole lot of acceleration. That being said though, you do get slightly better fuel economy with the Corolla Cross. It's rated for around 30 to 33 miles per gallon, or 7 to 9 liters per 100 kilometers. And for 2023, you can even get the Corolla Cross as a hybrid, which is an option that you don't get with the HR-V. With the Corolla Cross Hybrid, you're going to get a nice boost in power with just over 190 horsepower, standard all-wheel drive, but most importantly of all, much better fuel economy, with around 38 miles per gallon or 6.5 liters per 100 kilometers. Although the Corolla Cross Hybrid will come standard with all-wheel drive, with the regular gas model just like the HR-V, you do have a choice of either front-wheel or all-wheel drive with a standard CVT transmission. One area though where both the Corolla Cross and the HR-V do seem to be evenly matched are their reputations for reliability, repair costs, and build quality. Both of these SUVs, being built on the same platform as the Honda Civic and the Toyota Corolla, have excellent reputations for reliability, so if you're looking for a small SUV that you can buy and hold on to for a very long time with minimal repair costs, either one of these is going to be a great choice. So far there does seem to be quite a bit of give and take between these two SUVs, and I could see a really strong reason to go for either one. But there is one area where there's a major clear difference between the two, and that is the pricing. The price difference isn't too significant in the States, where the HR-V is around $1,000 to $1,500 more expensive than the equivalent Corolla Cross. But there is a much bigger price difference in Canada, where much like the Civic and Corolla, the HR-V is around $4,000 more expensive than the equivalent Corolla Cross. The price difference is so significant that you can actually buy a mid-trim level Corolla Cross with all-wheel drive for the same price as a base model HR-V with front-wheel drive. So with all that being said, how exactly do these two SUVs stack up, and which one should you ultimately buy? Well, let's start with the Honda HR-V. I could see a lot of reasons why someone would choose this over the Corolla Cross, and indeed any other small subcompact crossover. It does have a nicer design. It's a little bit larger with more interior space, especially rear seat legroom. It has a much nicer interior with a more solid feel and a nicer driving feel too. But having said all of that, you're really not sacrificing much with the Corolla Cross. You get more or less the same features, the same active safety tech, and you get slightly better fuel economy too, and you have the option of a hybrid, which is something that you don't get with the HR-V. And the fact that the Corolla Cross is just a much better value than the HR-V just makes it the more rational SUV to buy. If you're okay with spending a bit more on the HR-V though, you are getting an equally good SUV, and perhaps the very best SUV in the subcompact segment. So let me know what you think of the 2023 Honda HR-V and the Toyota Corolla Cross. Which of these two small crossover SUVs would you buy, or would you buy something else instead? Let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe. You can also take a look at some of my other videos by clicking these links over here. Make sure to follow me on TikTok and Instagram, and if you need additional car buying advice, recommendations, or help with getting a great deal on your next new car purchase, make sure to check out carhelpcanada.com. Thanks so much for watching, and see you next time.